A special welcome to those who are new today, and welcome back everyone else. I should welcome myself back as well. I just got back from LA, especially for you. Yeah, but here is much nicer anyway. Today is special in many ways. It's special because it's a talk which we have inserted especially into this meditation skills. And it's also special because we have a sort of fairy pond ready for candle, lantern, raft floating, which we can all join in with towards the end as well. So, special in many ways. But mindfulness is something I'm sure you've heard about. It may even be one of the reasons that you are interested to come along and learn meditation, because it is like a counterpart for meditation. Meditation being something you do to cultivate your mind when you're sitting maybe with your eyes closed on your meditation mat somewhere, where you're putting the fullness of your attention into one task of training your mind. But mindfulness is also an important part of training the mind, but it tends to happen outside of the meditation practice when you're doing other things. It's a sort of attitude of mind which you can train yourself in to help to keep your mind more focused when you come to meditate. And by the same token, if you practice mindfulness, then the meditation you have attained during your sitting practice can be brought out into other aspects of your life. Mindfulness is quite a trendy sort of term these days. You hear things like the mindfulness revolution and that sort of thing. And today we'll talk about some of the meanings of mindfulness as it traditionally was understood, because it has become rather a sort of trendy thing, as I've said, and in becoming part of that sort of fashionable vocabulary, sometimes it's lost some of the things it originally was intended to comprise as well. So we'll talk about some of that today. So we'll talk about mindfulness. It's supposed to be a sort of recollection or discernment of good and bad, right and wrong, motivating you to think, speak and act in a good way, without forgetting yourself, and without being distracted by your senses, and always with wise reflection. So these are traditional definitions. Some people say that mindfulness is a sort of bare or undiscerning attention to the things around you, like you just sort of sit there and, go with the flow. Even if someone is sort of about to hack you to pieces, you just go with the flow, be mindful. Mindfulness in its traditional meaning anyway would probably help you to reflect that it's a good idea to run for your life. So it's not just a passive thing if you understand the full meaning of it. It needs some effort to cultivate. It's not just something which babies and children have automatically, because children can also just sit there and be passive and not do anything. It doesn't take a great deal of training. But mindfulness is somehow being there, not judging things, but somehow understanding them on a deeper level. And within Buddhism, it is actually quite central to many teachings. What's known in Buddhism as avoiding recklessness is based very firmly on this idea of being mindful. Recklessness to you might mean something like running across a highway without looking right and left first. But recklessness can mean much more than that. It can mean anything that sort of jeopardizes your sort of spiritual cultivation. But mindfulness is something which is currently in vogue with a lot of scientific research. This wasn't the case if you went back to the 90s, and you see the number of papers published on mindfulness was only a handful per year in those days. These days, they've got whole journals devoted to mindfulness. So that's part of why it's become a trendy thing, or maybe it has sort of made people get funding for doing research on such a thing. But generally speaking, it tends to be the mindfulness which is not not in the traditional sense of the word. So, if you were to try to understand Buddhist teachings in their entirety, and you wanted to place mindfulness somewhere in there, then where would you put it? To understand this, really you need to understand what the big picture is with all these teachings within Buddhism. Of course, meditation's in there too, but there's other things as well, as you might appreciate. For example, there are 3 teachings which are said to be like at the heart of Buddhist teachings, which are avoiding doing bad stuff, doing good stuff, and purifying the mind, otherwise known as meditating. So, whatever else you get within Buddhism, it has to fit in one of these 3 pigeonholes. So we take that and we put it on the peak of our pyramid. And we'll elaborate it into a little bit more detail. Again, you may have heard of the 3 trainings within Buddhism: keeping precepts, meditating, and eventually wisdom. The idea being that if you're a person who has some degree of integrity, and then on the basis of that you practice meditation, then out of that will come forth wisdom. Yeah, 3 trainings. If you elaborate on that further, then you come to something else you may have heard of, which has got 8 components. Any guesses? Oh, maybe you get a free ticket to the advanced course, which has a lot of right things in it, okay? Anyone who's got their Buddhism 101, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And generally speaking, the right mindfulness and the right concentration come right at the end, almost as the fruits of all your efforts in every other aspect of your life. So there's right mindfulness in there, but not mindfulness on its own. And then if you want to elaborate on that further, you can actually come to all the teachings of Buddhism. And traditionally they put a figure on that of 84,000. It's a bit like children, they tell you the highest number they can count up to, and it's always, there was 100 of them. Okay, sure it was exactly 100? Yeah, because 100 is the highest number I can count to. Well, apparently in India in the old days, the highest number they could count to was 84,000. So there's a lot of teachings in Buddhism, and they can divide them up roughly into quarters. There's about 1 quarter is all the rules of monastic discipline. Another quarter is a sort of index to all the teachings. But about the half, which is left over, is Buddhist discourses. So conversations the Buddha had over the course of 45 years that he was teaching. So where would we put mindfulness? Apparently, according to Buddhist teachers, the very pinnacle of all this would be nirvana. So sort of becoming so pure in your cultivations that your whole mind became free of impurities. And you can tell me what sort of impurities that would comprise, right? 3 of them? Sorry, say that again? Greed, hatred, delusion. Yeah, exactly right. And how you got there would be through non-recklessness. So by not neglecting anything which helped you to uproot those nasties in the mind, then through non-recklessness you could get to a state of purity. And how can you be non-reckless in matters of the mind? Well, the answer is to be mindful. Yeah. So what do we mean by mindfulness? It can mean not allowing the mind to wander. So, of course, the mind likes to wander. It's a bit like a monkey. But if through meditation we bring the mind back each time it wanders, little by little, even monkeys can be trained. In Thailand, they've got a training school for monkeys. I think they have a 3-month course, and they can train them to collect coconuts. So even monkeys can be trained. So your mind has a much bigger chance, okay? And by training the mind not to wander, you just bring it back each time. Secondly, you don't allow moods and feelings to hijack the quality of your mind. Let's say you're feeling angry. Well, everyone feels angry. Even monks feel angry. But you don't let it take over. Because you're you and the anger is something else. You're not your anger. And if you've got a lot on your mind, thoughts for example, you don't let one thought just sort of continue elaborating without end. There might be some things you find it upsetting to think about. But it's also your choice to stop thinking about certain things that upset you. So actually, if you're mindful, then you can catch it before it starts getting too embedded, too automatic. And this is something you might have heard of in connection with mindfulness, constantly reminding yourself not to forget yourself. May not be too well stated, but for example, you may be washing your dishes maybe by hand, but your mind is on something completely different. Like, what am I going to do when I finish washing the dishes? Because this is just a no-brainer. So you generally don't actually enjoy washing your dishes because your mind is never actually focused on what you're doing. And as a result of that, you may drop things, you may make a bad job of what you're doing. But if you're to actually focus on what you're doing until you finished it and then move on to your next task and then focus on that, then actually you will be much more present in the moment. And out of that you get a sort of quality and a reflection and an understanding even in mundane tasks, which is of great value, which will bring about mindfulness. So this is what's called self-awareness, is being there in the here and now. Because things don't change in the future, and they don't change in your past, but they change right here and now with what you're doing, what you got your hands on. Mindfulness is quite beneficial because it keeps your mind in the state you actually require. It gives you some choice over how your mind is going to be at any particular time. If you don't like it, then you change it. Because you're aware of how your mind is. Let's say you're in pain, sometimes you can, by being mindful, set up a sort of barrier between how you feel physically and how you feel mentally. Okay, your body may have some discomfort, but you're not going to let it sort of seep over into your mind in a way that's going to ruin your day. May take some practice. You can allow your thoughts to be broad-minded without limits. Some people are broad-minded, but it leads them to want to take over the whole world. That's broad-minded in one sense. But broad-minded in another sense might be to want to help everyone in the world. Or to feel a sort of sense of fellowship with everyone in the world. That would be the sort of broad-mindedness which comes from mindfulness. And it allows you to consider things with wisdom. Wisdom is often about getting down to the roots of problems, not just seeing the superficial symptoms of the problem, but actually seeing through to the root of the problem in a way that if you solve it, you've solved it for good. Yeah? It's like, keep on mopping up the water, or do you find out where the pipe's leaking? And whatever you do, whether you're thinking about things, talking about things, or doing things, then it becomes something which is part of your practice of purifying yourself to become a better person. So mindfulness can help with all these things, because it's a sense of awareness or a sense of conscience which you take with you into every activity. It allows you to be careful of yourself. In every task there's always a line beyond which risks start to occur. And if you are wise, then even though it may be quite a mundane task, you'll be able to see where the limits are. For example, you like to make sure your children are happy, but you don't let them be happy with things which may be of danger to them. So you have to draw a line somewhere. Yeah? So exactly where the line lies, this is where mindfulness comes in. Some people start off doing something, they feel happy with it, and then they find, well, if I'm going to have to do this every day of my life, maybe I'm not going to be so happy with it. So you start off as you mean to go on, with a long-term view of, yeah, I'm going to keep it at this level because it may be a long time I'm going to have to do this. Gives you a timely reminder, almost like an alarm clock. Some people might like to lie about in bed all day because it's also quite calming, but like you've got a life to lead. So mindfulness would actually sort of catalyze your day to make you want to get up and do something more useful with it than just lying around. So it's not always a passive quality. A catalyst. If you have responsibilities, then you're also aware of that too. For example, if you are your stereotypic bachelor and you can just sort of please yourself as to how you organize your day, but the moment you have a family, then you have to start thinking about some other people too. You can't just be your selfish, indulgent self anymore. So you realize the responsibilities now. You can't just carry on like before. And that's also a sense of mindfulness. It engenders thoroughness. So if you're going to deal with something, then you get to the bottom of that. And some metaphors, which are traditional again. Mindfulness is said to be like a supporting pillar. Because without mindfulness, every other sort of good thing you do tends to will collapse without it. Yeah? For example, you might want to take care of all the little fellow creatures around your home. But if you're not mindful, then you might end up stepping on some of them. Or if you're not careful, you may end up saying some things you don't mean. So it's a supporting pillar. Your whole sense of truthfulness, or maybe your sense of compassion, may collapse without the mindfulness to support it and be there and on the ball in every situation. Sometimes it's known as a doorkeeper. Maybe, don't know what you call them here, bouncer? Still no bouncers here? Bouncers have a very important task, because they size people up at the door of some reputable establishment, and if they don't feel that the clientele is quite as reputable as the establishment, then they don't let them in. But if they look like they are not going to cause any trouble, then you let them through. Mindfulness can also be like that for letting things into your mind. Because some things, once they get through the filters of your mind, they can cause havoc inside. Yeah? This is why we protect children from certain experiences, because it may affect them for the rest of their life if they are in shock because of some traumatic experience. Some things are not traumatic, but they can sort of set off a chain reaction, which leads to much worse things. So mindfulness would catch it before it gets to the point that you there's a hijacking of the mind. A treasurer, looking at the incomings and outgoings of the mind in terms of probably the goodness which you are managing to amass for yourself, but also maybe keeping enough time for yourself to recharge your batteries when you're feeling worn out, but also having time to help other people as well. Or a ship's rudder, which means basically the steering wheel for the ship, which keeps you on target for where you're going, even though it may be a long journey ahead of you. So mindfulness can keep you on track and doesn't let you lose sight of your goals in life as well. So pretty important. It's not just like go with the flow and like chill out, but it's actually mindfulness includes a lot of what we would call a sense of conscience or integrity as well. A great sense of care and wisdom to look deeper into everything that we're dealing with, even the mundane things. And the result of this would be to give a sense of quality in life. If we are able to cultivate meditation, we might be pleased with ourselves, we might have a warm fuzzy feeling. But if we have a sense of mindfulness throughout the day as well, then it keeps that feeling going into other activities in a way that you're actually applying it in a way that many of the things which caused you frustration in your life before will never actually happen because you have sort of taken care of them before they got that far. Do you see what I mean? So mindfulness is something which goes hand in hand with meditation in the ideal world. If we have the chance to do something like meditation for a full day rather than a single session, then you can sometimes see how it can carry over into mindfulness much more clearly than maybe you could do if you just came along on a Wednesday night. And that's one of the reasons why we try to organize a one-day event where you're meditating and having mindfulness for the whole day instead of just for like an hour or two. And that will be on the 10th of December coming up for anyone who's interested in that. But for today, we shouldn't just talk about it, but I think we should have a little bit of time for meditation too. And just before we finish, I'll also talk about the activity with floating the candle lantern rafts. Yeah, so that you can see maybe the significance of that for mindfulness too. Yeah. So would you like to make yourself comfortable for some meditation now? And we have a special offering today, in addition to our normal offering. Hopefully, yes, without sort of naming any names too much in case you feel sort of, yeah. But if you do, then it's also fine, yes. But yes, it's come to that time of the Wednesday evening.
So at this time, let us pay our respect to our teacher, Venerable. Bow. 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 Okay, and we're going to make our group offering today. In addition, we have a special offering from someone in the class that has been generous enough to pack some items for our monastic community. So this is such a great example to see someone doing this because it's just a nice gesture to do. And so we'll offer this together as well for the monastic community, which Venerable Nicholas is going to represent. Keep in mind too, for those who are not aware of this, Venerables cannot say eat items or snacks or even food unless they're offered. So if we didn't offer this, then the Venerable can actually benefit from it. So we have to offer it together as a group. All right. So all right. So we're going to do our golden bag first, and if I can get everyone to kind of connect as a train of energy. And Marianne, you'll come in the middle. You don't mind? Yeah, just come right. There's space for you right here. And then everyone else, if you can just connect by touching each other on the back. Again, we do this every week as we make the donation put your mind at the center of your body and make a wish for yourself as the Venerable is blessing us.
All the good things you wish for in your life come to you with ease and with rapidity.
And then we have one more. The bag of goodies.
There was once someone in my distant past who had great intentions for the monks and just left everything on the doorstep, and like the monks still couldn't have it because it hadn't been offered properly. But now it has. So may all of you have a clear path towards inner peace in your meditation, freedom from hindrances and obstacles in your spiritual path now and in every lifetime forevermore.
Rejoice in your merits, everyone. Okay, and now we invite everyone to be part of the floating lantern. We've got some floats in the front prepared for all of us, and Venerable Nicholas will kind of take the lead to show us an example.
In Thailand, it's a special festival, which is one of the many New Years which Thai people celebrate. Thai people have a love of New Year. They love it so much they celebrate it about 4 times a year. So they got like the Western New Year, they got Chinese New Year, and then they got their own New Year, which is in April, where they throw water over each other. And then they got the sort of Indian New Year, which comes at the full moon of November. If you go to a Hindu temple somewhere, they're celebrating it as well, except they call it Diwali. And what the Indian people do is they take those little clay lamps and they light the lamp and they float it away on the river Ganges. In Thailand they do something similar, but they improvise with lotus leaves and banana leaves and so on, and make a little raft which has a candle in it which you light and float away usually on the river. Apart from being quite a beautiful experience aesthetically, seeing your little candle bobbing away on the river ripples by the full moon, people usually make a wish as well, and you're probably quite familiar with making wishes with your $5 notes each Wednesday anyway, but often in terms of not just wishing for the good things that you want to come into your life, but wishing for the bad things that you have in your life already to sort of go away with a little candle on the waves. Symbolically, it's like a letting go as well. So many people feel that, let it be turning over a new leaf where all the sort of the nasty stuff from your life can sort of go away with the candle and bob away on the waves and never to be seen again. Yeah, well, we don't have a river running through our meditation center, but we do have a sort of pond. So what we'll do once we finish with our normal wrapping up would be for everyone to go and claim a candle lantern, a lantern raft for yourself, and light it and go and float it on the pond. Yeah. There are some things to watch out and be mindful of, which are not to stand on the Christmas lights. Otherwise you may find you get more for your wish than you bargained for. And also not to put the Christmas lights in the water, because I think that will probably also give some quite dramatic effects for anyone with their hands in the water. So yes, that being said, enjoy yourselves, and I'm sure to be a nice photograph to have together as well. Yes.
Are you going to take the lead, Venerable Nicholas, and be the first person to float?
Yes, I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the lantern for myself yet, but I hope it is one that's there too. Yes. So yes, have a wish in mind as you float away your cares on the waters. Yes.